This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. The Black Museum, a repository of death. Yes, here in the grim stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a dictionary, a stenographer's notebook, a clothes hanger, all are touched by murder. Here's a postcard. It's a familiar object, slightly soiled in its passage through the mails. Usual cancellation over the stamp, an ordinary address, 29 St. Paul's Road, London. The message? Oh, yes. On the message side, a drawing, rather well done, of the rising sun.
Rather a conventional representation, isn't it, Sergeant?
Yes, sir. Conventional, still a rather unconventional matter.
Murder? Yes. Yes, it is unconventional. You know, Sergeant, I've often wondered why they hold so many executions at sunrise. Why they end lives at the beginning of the day.
Anyway, that postcard today with the rising sun on it can be seen among the other exhibits in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum. In just a moment, you will hear The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. Now, The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Well, here we are, in the Black Museum. Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Yes, here lies death in a variety of forms, swift or slow, merciful or cruel. Death is here, laid out, remembered in detail, and perhaps waiting to strike again. Here's a typewriter. This is an instrument of death. Yes? Worthy of the Black Museum, definitely. The criminal care, the vicious planning that went into its use, till the person who received the letters written on this machine, in desperation, took her own life. There's a child's toy, a tiny metal airplane. It's rusty in places. The propeller doesn't turn anymore, but there were fingerprints on this. I placed a killer at the scene of the crime, for which he was hanged. Now, here we are, the postcard. The postcard with its drawing of a rising sun. It's clear at once that a skilled hand drew this tiny picture. In this case, many things were clear almost at once, and conclusions were drawn. However, that, of course, is the story which begins for us as Alfie Vine and his elderly mother turn into the entrance of 29 St. Paul's Road, London.
Alfie, I refuse to go a step further until you've told me what this is all about.
I'm surprising you, Mums. Oh, you've come all this way. Are you going to spoil it all now?
I'll not set foot in this house until you stop all this mystery.
Oh, Mums. Well, this is where I've got my rooms.
You're living here?
Oh, 29 St. Paul's. You know the address.
It's rather dirty.
My place is all right. It's only the outside, and it's cheap.
Alfie, You've not wanted to show me this before.
I want to show you the girl who's waiting upstairs.
Alfie, you haven't gone and got married.
Not yet, Mums, but we're planning, so I want you to meet her.
All right. I'll go in.
They went in. The shabby young man, the rusty, black-clad, gray-haired woman. They climbed the stairs, one flight only one, but enough for Mrs. Vine to see the scabby walls, the dirty stair rail, the untidy hall. Alfie placed his key in the lock and turned it and opened the door. Light from the window revealed a single room, a washstand, a bed. The mother had reason to scream. There was a young lady on the bed, clad in the remnants of a nightgown. The gown, the sheets, the pillow were blood-stained. Why wouldn't they be? The young lady's head had been severed from her body. His mother, given into the care of a neighbor, Alfie Vine summoned the police. Shortly thereafter, he faced Inspector Wood and Sergeant Cross of the CID, Scotland Yard.
It's obvious, Vine, that this Alice Cortland was, or should we say, more than a fiancée to you.
We was married. I didn't want my mother to think we'd gone and done it without her knowing, so we planned to do it over again after Mum's met her.
Yeah. Where were you last night, Vine?
Working? Oh, you can check. I'm a postal clerk, night shift.
Where?
Charing Cross substation.
Oh, check that, Sergeant.
Yes, sir, of course.
You work nights a lot, Vine?
It's a split schedule, Inspector. 2 or 3 times, sometimes more a week. You don't think I done Alice in, do you?
We're not thinking anything yet. Not until we find out from the lab exactly when she died.
Poor Alice. She didn't have much of a life. Nothing to depend on till she met me.
What did she do at night while you were working?
I never asked. We trusted each other, we did.
I see. Sergeant, I want the neighborhood
The
checked.
inspector was skeptical. You could hear it in his voice. The story was odd, to say the least. It became a trifle more odd when Sergeant Cross reported.
They knew her all right. Every bar in the district, but not as Alice Vine. In most places, she was Daisy Cummins.
Inspector understood. Came as no surprise, therefore, when a frightened little man, a Marty Shaw, ship's cook on leave, turned up at the yard.
Yes, sir. I knew Daisy, but I wasn't with her Wednesday night. No, sir, not then.
When did you see her last?
That was Tuesday night, Inspector.
And before that?
Monday, and Sunday too, sir. We had dates, Daisy and me, whenever I was ashore. Always had a few drinks together, at the York, at the Rising Sun, places like that along St. Paul's Road.
Mm-hmm. But not Wednesday night?
No, sir. Not the night she got herself killed. No, sir.
Why not?
Well, she had a date with somebody else, sir.
Oh, how do you know?
Well, I saw him, sir. In the Rising Sun. I saw him.
Mm-hmm. Were you jealous?
No, sir. I was with Daisy's friend Margie. Good looker, too.
Can you describe the man Daisy was with?
Well, I had a look at him. I believe I could.
Oh, could you pick him out of a group?
Oh, I might, sir. I'd try for you, Inspector. I'd really try.
Apparently, a step forward is about to be made in the case. The ship's cook gives his description.
Not very big. Slim-like, too. Shabby, but in a genteel kind of way. About 30 years old. Always doodling, like, with a pencil. Kind of fella can always pick up a check.
A description. Not much to go on, but a start. Again, the canvases covered the area. And now the various barmaids and tavern keepers remembered a man like that. Remembered seeing a man like that with Daisy, alias Alice, the girl who literally lost her head. However, there were no further traces of the man in question. Inspector Wood and Sergeant Cross went back to the bedroom in St. Paul's Road.
All right, Sergeant. With a fine tooth comb. The whole room down to the baseboards. And behind them, if necessary.
The detectives took the tawdry little room apart. The bed was dismantled, the window shades were unrolled, the washstand and its pipings were completely explored. The bureau was investigated, the drawers were pulled out, their contents tossed on the bed.
Hello. Here's something, Inspector.
Ah, a postcard, I see. Postmarked the day before. Where was it?
Caught in the back of this drawer, between the backboard and the bottom.
Yeah, interesting. What do you make of that drawing, Sergeant?
It looks like the old Jap flag to me. I don't know of any Japanese eating place near here, Inspector. Dear Daisy, meet me at 8:15 at the... whatever the picture means.
It's a rising sun, isn't it, Sergeant?
And there is a rising sun, where that Shaw fellow saw her on Wednesday night.
Yeah, rather well drawn. Almost a skilled hand.
An artist, maybe?
Maybe. Possibly the killer as well. Right, back to work, Sergeant. There may be a few more little messages like this.
They found 2 more. hidden in the recesses at the back of the bureau. And that was all.
It's 1,000 to 1 shot, Sergeant, but we'll try publishing these in the papers. Someone may recognize the handwriting or the sketches. More likely, the sketches.
And someone did.
Hello?
Larry? This is May.
May, this is wonderful.
Is it, Larry?
Of course it is.
Then why haven't I heard from you in weeks?
After we had our quarrel, dear, I thought a certain beautiful model was pretty well through with a certain artist.
I should be.
But you're not?
Larry, have you seen today's newspapers?
No. Why?
It's quite simple. A girl you'd been sending postcards to was murdered Wednesday night.
How do you know I sent her cards?
They're in the paper with drawings. I know your style, even in the paper.
I should be flattered, I guess.
I'm not. Larry, the police want to know who sent those cards.
May, will you believe me when I tell you I never killed anyone?
I believe you. I know you.
Then, for old time's sake, will you help me? I'm in trouble, May. Real trouble.
What would you want me to do, Harry?
If anyone asks you, anyone at all, will you say we were together from 10:30 on Wednesday night?
For how long?
An hour or so. Then you went to Earl's Court and I went to King's Cross. Will you?
Were you with her?
Does it matter, May?
No, not anymore, I suppose.
Then try to remember, May, please. 10:30, Earl's Court, King's Cross.
May Hester, artist model, once upon a time in love with an artist named Larry, and now asked to provide an alibi. In fact, asked to provide an alibi which might never be needed. May Hester lived with what she knew for a day or so, and then, half reluctantly, her feet and her conscience took her to an office in the old building on the Thames.
I understand your position, Miss Hester. I'm grateful you came to see me.
I don't believe he killed her, Inspector, but as long as you're looking for him, you won't be looking for the right person, will you?
Well, that's one way of saying it. Miss Hester,
Yes, Inspector?
I think you'd better give me his name.
It's Larry Duncan.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where he lives at present?
May Hester knew. She gave Inspector Wood an address on London's western edge. She left the environs of Scotland Yard. So did Inspector Wood, in company with Sergeant Cross.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes, I'm Duncan.
I'm Inspector Wood, CID. My credentials. This is Sergeant Cross.
Will you come in, gentlemen?
No, thank you. I'm afraid, Mr. Duncan, we have to ask you to come out with us. We need to ask you a few questions, and it'll be more convenient down at the yard.
Well, today, the postcard with a little picture of the rising sun on it is part of the exhibits in the Black Museum.
In just a moment, we will continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. And now we continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Larry Duncan was held on suspicion of murder. The inspector was convinced of his guilt. Duncan protested his innocence. The family called in a famous defender, but despite the presence in the case of Sir John Cripps, Scotland Yard charged Larry Duncan with the murder of Alice Vine, alias Daisy Cummins, and preparations for the trial went forward. Sir John conferred with Larry.
How are you, my boy?
Fairly well, sir. Does my prison palace show as yet?
Not yet. I like your confidence, Larry.
I didn't kill the woman, sir.
However, you were seen with her that night. A man, a sailor, I believe, who had been with her the 3 nights previous, saw you both together in the, Rising Sun.
That's why I asked May to say we'd been together after 10:30 that night.
Well, they have another witness, a tram conductor, who states he saw you leave that house at 5 in the morning.
He couldn't have seen me.
I take your word. But will a jury after that false alibi?
I'll have to take my chances on that, I guess.
Well, we'll see. Perhaps a little further investigation may bring a few more facts to light.
Sir John Cripps proceeded toward a few more facts. But he kept what he learned very quiet. Not until the trial itself did he reveal his strategy, or the evidence he expected to produce. In fact, the first move came sometime after Inspector Wood and Sergeant Cross had placed the police case in the record. The tram conductor, one Charles Powers, was on the witness stand.
And are you certain, Mr. Powers, that the prisoner in the dock is the man who saw leaving 29 St. Paul's Road that morning?
I am that, sir. Positive.
How, Mr. Powers?
By his walk, sir. He has a kind of free-swinging stride.
Thank you. You may cross-examine.
Thank you. Mr. Powers, let me refresh my memory. You have said the weather that tragic morning was drizzly.
Yeah, I did say so. It was.
Thank you. And that you saw the man quite clearly by the light of a lamppost.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And further, that you heard a church clock in the vicinity strike 5.
I did.
My lord, I offer in evidence as a rebuttal of this man's testimony the reports duly attested of the electric light company servicing that district, which contains the record that the street lights were extinguished that morning at 4:37 a.m. This man could not have seen anyone by the light of a street lamp.
Mark it for evidence.
And if it please the court, I have here the duly attested records of the London Weather Bureau. Not one drop of rain fell anywhere in London that morning.
Mark that for evidence.
Thank you, my lord.
A skilled lawyer in action is a fine thing to watch, isn't it? Here was a witness, an important witness, completely demolished. His facts called in question and his responsibility torn to pieces. The prosecution suffered from that, naturally. They attempted to regain their loss with Marty Shaw, the ship's cook.
In conclusion, Mr. Shaw, you identified the prisoner as the man who was with the victim the night of the murder?
I did, sir.
Thank you. Your witness.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw, were you frightened when you heard of Miss Cummins' death?
No. Why should I be?
Why shouldn't you have been? After all, Mr. Shaw, by your own testimony, you spent Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday evenings with Miss Cummins. She was killed on Wednesday. Why shouldn't you have been frightened?
You mean because I was the next man to the prisoner?
Next man to the murderer, perhaps. Not next man to the prisoner.
Maybe I was.
You realized, didn't you, that your position might turn out to be unpleasant?
Yes, I guess I did.
And you discussed the matter with another lady friend of the deceased?
What if I did?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Except perhaps that from this woman you obtained a detailed description of a certain friend of Miss Cummins, and from that description you picked out the prisoner at an identification parade? Well, Mr. Shaw, answer me.
Well,
Speak up, Mr. Shaw. The judge and the jury want to hear your answer. So do I.
yes, sir. I did that.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. That is all.
Another witness's testimony discredited. His motives called in question. The propriety of his identification more than called in question. The courtroom crowd was making bets as it filed out after the first day. The odds were swinging away from the prosecution and toward the young man who sat quietly in the prisoner's dock, sketching. After all, Larry Duncan was an artist. But an artist wants to keep the record of his experiences, even when his life hangs in the balance. Next day, the prosecution called May Hester.
Miss Hester, how did you learn of this crime?
In the newspapers.
And how did you first connect the prisoner with it, in your mind?
Well, when I saw the postcard in the paper, the one with the drawing on it, it was Larry's, Mr. Duncan's tile. I recognized it.
What did you do?
I called him on the phone.
What happened?
He asked me to give him an alibi.
A false alibi?
Yes. He wanted me to say that I'd been with him that night.
And what did you do?
I agreed. Then I thought it over and I went to the police.
Very well, Miss Hester. Thank you. Cross-examine.
Miss Hester, why did you go to the police?
Well, I was afraid, I suppose.
Had you been in love with Mr. Duncan?
That is, yes.
Uh-huh. Was he in love with you?
I thought so.
Have you ever heard of an emotion called jealousy, Miss Hester?
It was over. I had no reason to be jealous.
I submit, Miss Hester, that when you thought it over, when you realized that Mr. Duncan had apparently gone to this woman after his protestations to you, that you were not afraid, that you were jealous enough to want revenge.
That's not so. That's not true.
You were afraid. Of what? That this man might try to murder you?
No, of course not. Larry, Mr. Duncan wouldn't hurt a fly.
Miss Hester, when Mr. Duncan asked you for the alibi, did you know the time of the murder?
No. No, sir.
When did you learn of it?
Here, in the medical testimony.
Did the question of the time of the death enter your mind when you went to the police?
No, of course not.
I ask you again, Miss Hester, can you say you were motivated only by fear and not by jealousy or revenge?
Yes, I was only afraid.
Afraid of what?
I was afraid that, well, even if he hadn't done it, and I had to swear falsely, I might get into trouble myself.
And you were willing to sacrifice the reputation, perhaps even the life of the man you loved, because you were afraid to get into trouble.
Objection, my lord. Irrelevant, incompetent, and immaterial.
I withdraw the question. That is all, Miss Hester. Thank you very much.
Thereafter, the prosecution rested their case, or what was left of it. Sir John called Larry Duncan as his first witness for the defense. Testimony was short.
I didn't kill her. I left her at the rising sun that night, around midnight. I didn't kill her.
Nor could the Crown's prosecutor shake his statement. Next and last witness for the defense, one David Wallace, a ticket agent on a suburban railroad.
Mr. Wallace, what is your address?
26 St. Paul's Road.
What time did you leave your house the morning after this killing?
My regular time, sir. 5 minutes to 5.
Uh-huh. Did you see anyone that morning?
Yes, sir. A man going in the opposite direction.
Only one man?
Only one, sir.
Are you conscious that you have a rather free swinging stride?
Oh, I do it on purpose, sir. It's good for you in the morning.
With the permission of the court, I request a small demonstration.
Proceed.
Step down a moment, Mr. Wallace, please.
Aye, sir.
Now then, just turn up the collar of your coat. Thank you. Put on your hat, will you? Thank you. Now, will you walk, please, as you do in the mornings?
Chest out, breathe deep and all.
Please.
Like this, sir.
It was unmistakable, the free swinging stride. It was established that there was a man on proper, decent business walking in St. Paul's Road at 5 that morning. The prosecution had no cross-examination for Mr. Wallace. The Crown summed up. Sir John summed up. The judge's charge was brief and to the point.
In cases such as this, if there is any reasonable doubt in your minds, gentlemen of the jury, it is incumbent on you to give the prisoner the benefit of that doubt.
At 8:30 the same evening, the jury filed back into the box. The clerk solemnly intoned the old question. Have you reached a verdict?
We have.
Again the clerk spoke. What is your verdict?
We find the accused not guilty.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment.
Today, that postcard, whatever it may mean with its rising sun, proposes in a place of honor in the Black Museum.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. The Black Museum, a repository of death. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a milk bottle, a woman's hairnet, a bit of fly paper, all are touched by murder. Here's a doctor's prescription. It's a familiar object. You don't think twice about it. You have a cold, a sore throat. The doctor comes, gives you a prescription, piece of paper with symbols scrawled on it.
Here you are, nurse. I've used a different compound this time. Number 1778 in place of 2032.
Is this one stronger than what you've been getting?
Yes, there's a bit more of the morphia in this prescription.
Well, today that same piece of paper, that prescription, is in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum. In just a moment, you will hear The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. Now, The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Well, here we are, in the Black Museum, Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. These objects all around represent the final distillation of that most final act of all, the taking of a human life by another human being. Here lies death. In serried, ordered ranks, the things of which death is made lie here, quiescent now, but once so violent, so unavoidable, so inevitably complete. It's a stiletto, thing of cruel beauty, the jewel scabbard. No blood sullied this stiletto blade ever, but this was the arrow, the pointing finger, which led to death. by the hangman's rope. Yes, and here's the prescription. Scrawled almost unintelligible. The traditional corkscrew of the doctor's penmanship, and marked in the chemist's writing, filled. Ironic, but true. Almost as ironic as the beginning of the story, because the beginning is an errand of affection and kindly care. You see, John Begley was a nephew and cousin who did his best for his family.
And so, if you don't mind, Miss Smith, I want to be certain that my aunt, she's well past 80, you see, and my cousin will have the best of care.
I understand perfectly, Mr. Begley. I've been taking care of patients in my house now for almost 5 years. I can show you letters of reference, but I prefer it if you inspected my house first. That way...
To May Smith, a routine call, a routine inspection. To John Begley, a matter of some importance, but apparently Mr. Begley was quite satisfied with what he saw.
I must say, Miss Smith, you do well by your patients.
I'm a nurse, sir, and I've dedicated myself to the proper care of the sick.
Oh, to be congratulated. May I ask what the charges will be?
Your aunt is, I take it, a hopeless invalid.
And has been for a good many years. My cousin June has a progressive nervous disorder. Sometimes she's quite completely paralyzed. Then she has remissions.
Oh, I see. Would it be multiple sclerosis?
I think that's the name of it. In any case, she can care for her own needs to a great extent, except when she has these seizures.
Would £15 per week for each of them be within their means, with board and so on included?
Oh, yes, they have means. You see, my uncle, by marriage, that is, Mr. Dawson, he left them a comfortable income.
No problems there. Everything perfectly respectable and not a thought of trouble in the mind of anyone concerned. Martha Dawson and her daughter June came to stay in the care of Nurse May Smith. Not a registered nursing home, you understand, but a nice place and a competent nurse in charge with a good doctor on call. All of which was borne out the afternoon some months later when John came to visit his aunt and his cousin.
May is sweet, so considerate.
Oh, it's May already, is it?
Oh, why not, John? She's as good to me as June would be if she were able. I wish I were able, Mother. But you're not, poor dear. And May is a fine substitute.
One of the family, eh?
Yes, John. John?
Yes, my dear?
I'm not getting any younger.
Here, now, none of that kind of talk.
I mean it. I'm getting on. 55 is well into middle age. I've been thinking about my will, John.
As your next of kin, I think you ought to discuss it with me.
I'm serious, John. Listen to her, John. In all probability, I shall go first, and June will have everything her father left.
All right, Aunt Martha. Go ahead, June.
Well, I've been watching May, you see. She has practically nothing of her own, except this house and the rather precarious income from her patients. I've been thinking of making her a partial heir. But since you're the main one, John, I thought I'd ask you first.
I'm doing all right, dear. No worry on that score. Only take my advice. Be sure before you leap. Money is a strange thing, you know.
June listened to her cousin John. But what she thought he was advising, well, that was something else again.
May, I'd like to talk with you. Of course, my dear. Go right ahead. I'm making my will over again. Now, that's fine talk. You and a will, whatever for? To make you my principal heir. June, really? You mustn't do anything of the kind. I'm sure your nice cousin won't like it a bit. Oh, I've discussed it with him. He doesn't mind in the least. In any case, people with their lives ahead of them mustn't think about dying. Then it's high time I began to think about it. June, dear, let me tell you something. You're going to live so long and pay me £15 a week for so many years that you won't have anything to leave anybody. That's not so. My income will take care of me as long as I live. And John certainly doesn't need the principal. You will. You see, May, I know about the real nursing home you've always wanted. And the cottages and house that are the basis of what Father left Mother and me will be just perfect for you. When the time comes. You stop this kind of talk, June Dawson. That's nurse's orders. I don't want to hear it. I simply refuse to listen to you.
A word can be like a stone in a pool of water, the splash, the first ripple. And then wider and wider go the circles. The stone disappears. But it's there, lying at the bottom of the pool, even when the surface has become still again.
This box of candy. Johnny sent it. Will you have some? Thank you, Mother. Now, what shall I have? Nougat or a cream? You've had 3 already. You know sweets aren't really good for you. June is right, Aunt Martha. Now, you let me have that box. I'm going to save you from temptation and keep the box in my office. And you may have a piece after dinner and one after luncheon each day. The way you boss me. You'd think you were twice my age instead of the other way round. You're a good person, May. You really are. Am I? Just because I do my job?
Yes, the care was good. And the 3 women obviously were very fond of each other. But did you notice the phrase, save you from temptation? Would a psychologist call that a Freudian slip of some kind? I wonder now. And who was saving whom? And from what? Certainly Dr. Lewin, the attending physician, thought merely that people were being saved from pain, and with conscientious care.
I've been in to see Mrs. Dawson, nurse.
I'm glad. How do you find her, Doctor?
She's failing rapidly. Oh, it's too bad. She's a splendid old lady, despite her bad physical condition.
Does Miss Dawson realize her mother's condition?
I'm sure she does. She's a brave woman.
A self-sacrificing daughter, if ever I saw one.
No question about that. Well, it must come to all of us one day. Death, I mean. Now then, have you the final reports on the terminal care for Mrs. Wrightson?
Yes, sir. Right here in the file. And for Mrs. Richter.
Thank you, nurse. You know, you really ought to qualify as a proper nursing home. You know your business, Miss Smith.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, regulations are strict and expensive to fulfill. Now, on these 2 cases, Doctor, you prescribed morphia towards the end, do you remember? And you let me have a supply. I keep the dangerous drugs in here. And I have some of the tablets left. I'd like to return them, if I may.
Very well. Dangerous drug, morphia. Just as well not to have it around, even under lock and key.
A dangerous drug. Tempting. But there's another drug, or so it may be called at times, a temptation certainly. Seems to have the power to dull the perceptions and the consciences of people, much as morphia does at a time. This drug is money.
There it is. My will. Remade. Johnson, will you sign here, please?
Yes, ma'am.
The papers were signed, put away. A will, an inheritance, a gesture from a grateful woman to a friend in need. That was all. An incident over, closed, with a period put to it as the pen stopped its scratching, as in a few weeks a heart stopped beating.
At least she died without pain.
In her sleep, Doctor. Around midnight.
How is Miss Dawson taking it?
Quite well. Would you like to see her?
Perhaps I'd better. A sedative may be indicated.
She's in her room. This way. Can I expect any reaction in June's own trouble?
A disease of the nervous system like hers? There may be some trouble now, even when she's taking this blow so well.
I know. Here we are, sir.
Ah, Miss Dawson. May I express my sympathy?
Thank you, Doctor. Mother suffered enough in this world. I pray she has peace in the next.
I trust she will. Miss Smith is worried about you now.
I do feel a bit upset. I hope I'm not going to have any after effects.
Have you noticed any signs?
My legs feel so heavy. That's usually a sign.
Uh-huh.
And my fingertips on my right hand, they seem to have lost the sense of touch.
Well, you just let me prescribe a sedative, my dear. With some sleep, you'll be fine. Even when we expect something like this, it's still a shock. There we are, nurse.
Thank you, Doctor. Now you lie down, June. As Doctor says, even when you expect something, It's still a shock.
Yes, a shock indeed. Perhaps not unconnected with a piece of paper, a prescription, which can be seen today in the Black Museum.
In just a moment, we will continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. And now we continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
The words they use are polite, terminal care. They carry many connotations: an end to pain, an easing off from weary illness, a quiet kind of death. However, they do not mean a helping hand to death.
Doctor, poor Miss Dawson doesn't seem to be getting much relief from the sedative you gave her. I'm afraid the funeral and all the details have been too much for her.
I've been expecting that. She's worse, then?
Yes. Her right side is paralyzed. Doctor, June's become more than a patient. I don't want to lose her, too.
I understand, Miss Smith. Now, don't worry about that. Chances are Miss Dawson will live for quite a few years yet. Now, in the meantime... here you are, nurse. I've used a different compound this time. Number 1778 in place of 2032.
Is this one stronger than what she's been getting?
Yes, there's a bit more of the morphia in this prescription.
Yes, let us ease the pain and relieve the suffering. This is a great career to comfort and aid the sick. One does many things to help a sufferer.
Dr. Lewin, Miss Dawson has asked a peculiar question. I don't like it.
What is it?
She wants to know how one can be cremated.
Oh, she's thinking about that, is she?
Well, she hates her body. I think she wants to feel it will be completely destroyed as soon as she is gone.
Now, can't you get her mind off this?
Well, I try. I've been spending as much time as I can with her, but she keeps coming back to that same question. I'll have to satisfy her, I'm afraid.
Well, you tell her she can put the direction in her will if she has one, or she can leave a letter properly witnessed ordering disposal by cremation. Then, when she dies, whoever is left behind applies to the Registrar of Deaths for permission. The rest will be taken care of by a licensed mortician. Ugh. What thoughts on such a pleasant day?
She seems so terribly depressed. What can I do, Doctor?
Just do your best to keep her mind busy.
June Dawson, depressed, half paralyzed, and facing several years of a kind of half-life. Not pleasant. No, definitely. Cousin John Begley was very upset about it.
I don't like it, Miss Smith. June shows no improvement at all.
I'm upset by it as much as anyone.
Yes, I suppose you are.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Begley, if I may ask?
If she dies, no more £15 per week for you.
I resent that, Mr. Begley.
Yes, I suppose you should. Particularly since my cousin made that new will.
Do you know its contents?
She hasn't disclosed them to me, but I can guess. Do you know them?
I can't say I do.
Wise of my cousin to keep her will a secret, particularly since her estate will be worth at least £4,000, if not more.
A large amount of money and a small lie. Interesting combination. Of course, one can hardly blame Nurse Smith. It's not Cousin John's business what's in that will if June doesn't care to tell him. In any case, other events impend which will have a bearing on the matter.
We have to quickly. Almost as if she'd wished herself to death.
Why didn't you call me?
And it was 1 a.m. She seemed to be sleeping, except her breathing was peculiar. I tried to rouse her, and she answered me. I left her. 2:15 Johnson, who's on the night desk this week, called me. She'd rung for help, and I rushed in. She still had the cord in her hand, and she was...
Well, it happens that way. Something gives up. This was a cerebral hemorrhage, as far as I can judge, without an autopsy. I'll state so on the death certificate.
Very well, Doctor. Oh, I feel so ineffectual at the moment. You see, she was more than a patient. She was my friend.
I understand. Now, you'll be all right in a day or so after the internment.
Oh, Doctor, she wrote a letter, insisted on it, after I told her what you said.
What I said?
About the cremation.
Oh, that. Oh, yes, I remember. Yes, very well. You'll need the form request to fill out. I'll send one over. Now, you can make it out, attach the letter, and take it to the registrar. He happens to be the health officer in Nottingham as well.
Oh, thank you.
Now then, I'll make out the certificate.
No problems. Just the grief over a lost friend. Make out the papers. Call in Johnson, the faithful servant.
Johnson?
Yes, miss?
I have an errand for you. Dr. Lewin sent this form over. It's all filled out. I want you to take it to the health officer. You know where, don't you?
Yes, of course, miss.
And be sure you file this letter with it. Now, you remember witnessing Miss Dawson's signature on this letter, don't you?
Oh, yes, of course I do.
Johnson did as he was told. This was his job, no questions asked. However, the registrar at the health office did have a question or two.
You work at this place for this Smith woman, do you?
Yes, sir, I do.
The form here says nursing home. Is that what it is?
Oh, I suppose so, sir.
Well, don't you know?
There's only a few patients, and it's Smith's own house.
Oh, one of those, I see. I thought there was no registered nursing home at that address. I happen to be in charge of those records myself.
She never called it a nursing home before, sir. She always wants one, of course. Talks about it a lot. Says it costs a lot of money.
Yes, it does.
Will it be all right for me to tell her to go ahead with things now, sir?
No, not just yet. I'll want to get confirmation of this cremation request from a relative, too, if possible. I imagine the family will claim the body. We'll tell your employer we'll be in touch with her.
Strange, isn't it? An ambition, a desire so near fulfillment. And Nurse Smith fills out an official form as if the ambition had already been fulfilled. 2 words. Wheels begin to turn. Nurse Smith has an unexpected caller.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes. My name is Liggett, Inspector Liggett, Scotland Yard.
Sit down, please, Inspector.
Thank you.
What can I do for you, Inspector?
Did you know there's been a post-mortem on Miss June Dawson?
No, I didn't. Who gave permission?
Next of kin, John Begley.
Oh.
You know him?
He's been a visitor here.
I see. The death certificate said cerebral hemorrhage.
Dr. Lewin told me.
Would you tell me the type of medication you gave the patient?
I have the record book right here. Yes, here it is. Patient in pain in afternoon. Gave 2 tablets as prescribed by Dr. Lewin at 4 p.m. And here's the 8 p.m. entry. Usual dosage of sedative.
What was in those tablets?
Morphia. Dr. Lewin left them with me. 2 on September the 5th, 4 more on September the 12th. You'll find the entries in my drug book.
And in the sedative?
There was morphia in that, too. Dr. Lewin had prescribed an additional dose. He'd increased the compound.
You seem to have all the facts.
I keep careful records.
But nevertheless, Miss Dawson died quite unexpectedly of a stroke.
So the doctor certified. That is not in my province.
No. And the doctor made out the certificate without an autopsy.
He's quite a competent physician.
No doubt. But the fact remains that Miss Dawson did not die of a stroke, Miss Smith.
No? May I ask?
She died of an overdose of morphia, quite a large overdose. So I'm afraid we shall have to take you in charge until further investigations have either cleared you or brought you to trial either for manslaughter or homicide.
When death masquerades as mercy, when murder hides behind friendship, there's little sympathy for the accused. In this case, where one required to heal stood accused of killing, there was only anger. Nonetheless, justice was well ordered, and the evidence was made quite clear. First, the motive.
Mr. Begley, what do you know of the occasion of your cousin's drawing up a new will in favor of the prisoner?
My cousin discussed it with me.
What did she tell you?
That she felt so grateful to Miss Smith that she wanted to leave her entire estate to this woman.
What is the amount of the estate?
Something over £4,000.
To the best of your knowledge, did the prisoner know the size of the bequest?
I told her myself.
On what occasion?
When I asked if she knew the contents of my cousin's will.
And what did you say to that?
That she did not know. At a subsequent visit with my cousin, I learned that she did know. In fact, her own assistant or helper witnessed the document.
Thank you very much, sir.
And finally, opportunity and access to the drug. Dr. Lewin, a tragic though innocent figure in the case, was the witness.
Doctor, it has been alleged that you gave the prisoner 2 tablets of morphia for the deceased on the 5th of September and 4 more on the 12th. Is this true?
It is not. I never prescribed morphia in that form for this patient.
Did you prescribe it in any other form?
In a sedative, yes. I must confess a slight error, however. The patient had been receiving compound 1778. I later prescribed compound 2032, thinking at the moment that it contained more of the drug than 1778. Later, I discovered it contained less. However, as it seemed to be equally easing to the patient, I did not correct the situation.
Were you urged to add to the morphia?
I was, by Miss Smith.
Have you any idea where the prisoner may have acquired the drug which was used?
During the past year, I have given her small quantities of the drug for use at her discretion, but never more than 8 tablets at a time. She has returned a few from time to time. On checking my records, I find I have given her almost 100 tablets.
Is this normal?
In the situation where terminal care is the norm, yes. However, it is perfectly possible that some of the unused tablets were not returned to me.
Now, returning to your prescription, Doctor, do you remember the occasion of your writing it, and why?
I do. It was just after the patient's mother died while under Miss Smith's care. Miss Smith was most anxious for a stronger sedative for the patient and inquired specifically concerning its comparative strength after I wrote the prescription. She also inquired of me concerning cremation.
The Crown rested its case. The sentence was death by hanging. Well, today that same piece of paper, that prescription, is in the Black Museum.